Let's talk about COVID-19. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY. Springfield's News and Talk, hearing about increased cases numbers being released out of China, which shows probably the largest COVID-19 outbreak with millions and millions and millions of people. This is according to leaked documents out of China. But what about in Illinois? You're hearing out of the WMAY newsroom that Sangamon County is no longer reporting daily COVID cases. The health department announced change on its Facebook page, but didn't immediately provide a reason for the change. COVID stats by county are still available from the Illinois Department of Public Health. But the Illinois Department of Public Health, dealing with COVID-19, had their Illinois Immunization Advisory Council meet on Thursday. And this was, a very ad hoc committee. They meet maybe once a year. I don't think they met at all in 2020, but they did meet on Thursday, and they discussed the status of vaccines and where we stand with the COVID-19 vaccine. But they also heard some public comments, and one in particular was a parent named Lisa. She's a teacher, but she also homeschools children. And that's going to happen, if she says, even more if indeed the state moves forward to require COVID-19 vaccines for school kids to go to school.
I'm very concerned about the possibility of mandating COVID vaccines for children, since they are not at high risk of severe complications from it. And at this point in the pandemic, we know that it doesn't stop transmission.
So that was, again, just one parent speaking to the advisory committee remotely, and they then went through a series of statistics about the COVID-19 vaccine. We'll touch on that, but the Illinois Department of Public Health director, who was just appointed by Governor J.B. Pritzker a handful of months ago, Dr. Samir Vohra, he discussed that there is no plan right now to move forward and implement any kind of COVID vaccine mandate for school kids.
And I want to sort of assert here, and things that the governor has shared as well, that there are no plans to update the vaccine requirement for school-age children.
So no plans at this point. And I think that if you look at the numbers they provided, it really shows that the uptake is very low for the populations that could be required if there was a COVID vaccine requirement for people to go to schools. So I want to play for you that moment when they broke down some of the COVID stats. And if you're watching along with Bishop on Air on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, you'll be able to see this presentation as well with the charts and the graphs. And this is how they broke down the numbers for youth vaccine rates.
At the top of each graph, what you're seeing is the percentage of the population that has been vaccinated with a COVID vaccine, either first dose, second dose, and then either a monovalent or a bivalent booster. So you can see the percentages of each. The bottom set of numbers indicates, for the 12 to 17-year-olds, 70% of the population have had one dose of COVID-19 vaccine. And then the 92% who have had a second dose is relative to how many have had a first dose. So of those 70% of the people who have had a first dose, 92% of those have had dose number 2. 35% of those that have had dose 2 have had a monovalent booster. And at this point, about 10% of patients residents have gone on to have a bivalent booster in the 12 to 17-year-old age group. For the 5 to 11-year-olds, at this point, we have 9% of the people who have been fully vaccinated have had a bivalent booster. That vaccine became available in mid-October. Oh, I hear some feedback, but mid-October. So that's about 2 months worth of data. A little less actually, because I believe this data goes through December 5th. And then finally, we have the youngest children. There is no bivalent information yet available for this age group, because those vaccines only began to get delivered about a week and a half ago. So
you can see that the uptake for youth when it comes to the COVID-19 vaccines and the monovalent booster and the bivalent booster are very low. So if they were to require this for children to go to school, there would likely be a lot of upset parents who would be pushing back on that. So no movement at this time to mandate the COVID-19 vaccine for school children as we see this move forward and progress. But more about COVID-19 and in particular Twitter and how they may have impacted the COVID-19 discussion all throughout 2020 and 2021 and into 2022. We'll talk about that and other Twitter files that were released during the holiday break. So we'll unpack those and more. Stay tuned. It's Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and